everybody, and welcome to the Women's Soccer Show. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Allie.
And Gotham FC are champions of the NWSL playoffs? Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it does. And I've got thoughts and opinions on that.
We'll get into all of it 2 times in 3 years. Wow, we are here to talk all things NWSL final. Also, this is per Allie's suggestion, everybody. We're going to talk international in the back half.
It's my suggestion because there is nothing else that's happened in Europe, let's be honest.
Well, there was Champions League last week.
There was Champions League last week, which was interesting because anybody who's following it noting where PSG's position is in the Champions League table. It's not good.
It's not good.
This new format is not suiting them at all.
Okay, real quick, what are you making of the new format, Allie?
I was going to say, I personally love it as somebody who likes to see, underdogs do well. And I feel like it's a much fairer system because anybody can beat anybody on any given day, as we have seen. I think some of the big dogs are really struggling with it because there's no guarantees anymore. As we're seeing with PSG, as we saw Manchester United got absolutely hammered by Wolfsburg, as we're seeing that Arsenal are struggling at the moment and they're current champions. Chelsea, it's taken them a while to warm up and get their flow going. So I love the chaos.
So there were games last week and the week before. PSG lost both of them. One of them to Manchester United, one of them to Bayern Munich. The just destruction that you're talking about is the 5-2 Wolfsburg win over United. The Chelsea-Barcelona game was a blast. 1-1 was the final score. Arsenal went 1 win, 1 loss, winning over Real Madrid. And the previous week they lost to, come on, Sarah, it's early, but you got this, Bayern in a wild game.
I was going to say, that game was wild because they were 2-0 up and then they lost 3-2. This is the craziness of this new Champions League format, and I love it.
All right, so we're going to jump right into the NWSL final. But before we do, we have to do one thing that I think everybody's going to really enjoy, Allie. And that is American Allie was out to play for the past couple of weeks. You had a whole trip around a lot of the eastern part of the United States. Tell us about it. What did you, I know the big thing that's standing out to me right now, because we talked to you at the beginning of it when you were in the South, but we didn't hit you in Cleveland or New York. I know you're obsessed with New York. Don't worry, everybody. We're going to move to New York. We're going to build a studio. We're going to do the pod in person. That's the new plan. The weirdest thing I think I'm going to guess for you, based on your text messages, was advertisements for drugs on TV.
Yep, that threw me off. Yeah, I was like, what do you mean you can advertise prescription drugs on TV?
It's weird. We agree that it's weird.
Serving sizes in fast food places.
But biscuits. Talk to me about biscuits.
I fell in love with Southern-style biscuits, and I found them in every single place that I went. I went and had them, and I've now got a recipe for them, and will probably make them when I'm home.
Allie went to Harlem in New York and had biscuits.
I went to Harlem. I had the Harlem Biscuit Company biscuits.
It was brilliant. It was a great idea on your behalf.
They were great.
Yeah.
It was a great breakfast. I was very, very happy.
Any other highlights about the Americas?
I mean,
the Americas, about the United States. You didn't travel the Americas. You did not travel the North and the Central and the South of the Americas.
I didn't quite do
You didn't quite hit
that.
the entire Western Hemisphere.
No, but I would like to shout out the W Sports Bar in Cleveland, which is where I saw the Gotham Orlando Pride game. They are a women's sports bar, primarily in Cleveland, and they show all women's sports. So on one screen, we had the NWSL going. On another screen, we had women's college basketball going. And they are doing events, and they are queer-friendly, and they have a great selection of beer, if that's what you're into, and a great selection of bar food. And honestly, they made me feel so welcome, and it was a wonderful, atmosphere and experience to be in watching the NWSL in a sports bar. So And then people realised I was British and like, oh, so you're the expert on soccer. So I had to like tell everybody.
This is absurd. I was having this conversation with somebody during NWSL Championship weekend because we were like, there is such a bias in the United States. If you have an English accent, everybody is going to assume your soccer knowledge is at peak. They're going to basically entrust you to, well, how do I say this the right way? Rightfully so or not rightfully so, people in the United States are going to assume that English people know the most about soccer, and it's kind of hilarious to watch.
It's true. I did, but you know what? I used it to my power. I got free tequila. Life is good. So
You got a lot of free drinks in the United States because of your accent.
I did. I got away with so much, I will
Which
say.
is funny because I don't
accent.
remember getting free drinks in England because of my accent. It didn't go both ways.
I do think it's a one-way thing. And then last, because everybody wants to know what I'm wearing, I am currently wearing a CWRU sweatshirt, which is
Allie,
Case
what
and
is that?
This is Case and Western Reserve University, which is the university in Cleveland.
This must be your prized possession now, because I know it's the more obscure the better, and this is incredibly obscure.
It really is. It was literally, I was staying with some friends and they were like, we'll take you to like this random university, which is in Cleveland. And so I'm like living in this hoodie now.
I am living in this. Gotham FC are champions. And shout out to the women's sports bars that are popping up around the United States. There are 2 now, I believe, in New York. For those wondering, Allie didn't get to watch the championship at either of those bars because they were in the beautiful JFK. But don't worry, they still watched, and we will get into it right now.
So, ladies and gentlemen, and all of us in between, that is it for the 2025
I just went from happy to sad. You just broke my heart. I didn't think about it that way.
I know, but it has been a season and a half. There's been thrills, spills, upsets, dominance, some ups, some downs, specifically for Chicago. But you have your champion.
Maybe just downs if you're Chicago.
I wasn't trying to be that mean, but okay. But we have our champions. Gotham FC took the title despite, again, just squeaking into the playoffs. This seems to be like their MO.
Okay. I'm glad we're starting here.
Don't give me that face. Don't give me that face.
I agree. I mean, like, literally, statistically, they squeaked into the playoffs. We can't deny that.
I was going to say, you're looking at me like, you can't say that. I can say that, because they did. Because they were third for a little bit, and then they fell.
Yes. So literally, they made it into the playoffs over North Carolina by the difference of 1 point, right? They made it in with 36 points, North Carolina with 35 points. So that is statistically true. It's interesting. That face for me was not, you can't say that. It was, this is an interesting place to start, because the whole narrative for Gotham, this entire playoff run, and getting to speak to them, which we'll get into a lot of this because I was there for the entire NWSL Championship weekend for media days, and I got the opportunity to speak to a lot of the coaches, a lot of the players. And it was Midge specifically who was like, you know what? This doesn't feel at all like 2023 whatsoever. Like, that was a true underdog story. And this feels like we didn't do a good job closing out the last 2 games, but we were up at the top the whole season. We know how good we are. We know we can play with the best. And that's who we are. And that was the narrative of the entire team. Like, it wasn't an underdog story for them. It was them basically proving to everybody that they're better than the last 2 games of the regular season that made them fall to 8th. You're shaking your head. You really disagree, and I'm loving it.
I was going to say, because I would half agree with that, in the fact that it's not like 2023 where you're like, where have Gotham come from? However, I would say that the decline was more than the last 2 games. Gotham. I feel like you're being a bit generous there, Midge, in the fact that you're saying, we had a fall off of 2 games, but we came back. No, babes. Like, you had a bad run after like internationals and like the Euros and all of that coming back. It was not good for you. I'm so happy that you managed to pull it back, but let's call a spade a spade. It was not just 2 games that you guys fell off.
Yeah, they won one of the last 5 games. They won 1, drew 2, lost 2. That was how they finished the regular season in the last 5 games. But we can understand that mentality. And I think that's what their mentality had to be throughout the playoffs. And hey, they did. They proved everybody wrong. We'll say this. They proved themselves right. They beat the number 1 seed, the number 2 seed, and the number 3 seed on their way to winning the championship. Specifically in order, they beat 1, 3, 2, but whatever. So let's get into the game because there is so much to discuss. Don't worry, Washington fans. We'll talk about you too. Gotham FC wins 1-0. It didn't go to overtime, which it did certainly seem like it was going to at some point.
So I was preparing for it. I was like, this is like, because it was 0-0 for a very, very long time. And I was very convinced it was going to go to overtime and even penalties, the way these two were playing.
Same. I was preparing myself for penalties, truly. I had my jacket out. I was like, it's about to get cold. We're going to go to Pens. Let's do it. But Gotham FC wins 1-0. There's so much to say, but I think the most interesting statistic, and I will fact check this, but I heard this right after the game. Washington Spirit had 0 shots on target in 90 minutes. And you know what, Washington fans? It sucks to lose back-to-back championships. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. But you can't expect to win a game when you have 0 shots on target, period, the end.
I was going to say the closest I think they came was the one that bounced off of Emily Sonnet.
You bounced off of it. You mean when Emily Sonnet threw her body at the ground to become a brick wall?
I was going to say, as a defender, we've all done it.
I was on the field, but right behind that goal, like just to the side of that goal. So I watched that like as up close as you really can, unless you're also on the field. And it happened so quickly. I was so sure Lacey Santos was about to score that. But watching the replay back, Santos had no choice but to take a touch there. She couldn't have hit it one touch because the ball was kind of like trapped underneath her feet. So she had to take a touch. And it was in that moment. Sonnet got there so quickly. And listen, Lily Real deserves to be Rookie of the Year, like Defender of the Year. Incredible. Emily Sonnet, we've said it time and time again on this podcast. She's the answer. There's a clip of, because obviously everybody saw Megan Rapinoe and Sue Bird and like the stud buds and everybody were there before the game. Pino was wandering around with her pink wig, the sisterhood of the traveling pink wig, as I'm describing it, that we saw Rose sporting at the end. And at some point, Emma Hayes had it on too. There's a clip of Pino before the game talking to the stud buds being like, that girl, she's psychotic. She's who you want on your team.
But you need that in a defender. Because defenders need to be just as insane as goalkeepers, because you do need to throw your body to the ground in order to stop goals. And yeah, I want Sonnet on my team.
I mean, listen, I think it speaks for herself. Emily Sonnet has now tied for the most minutes in an NWSL Championship game out of anybody of all time in the NWSL. She's a winner. Period, the end. She's a winner, and she really has put the defense of Gotham FC on her back. There's so much to say here. I think we need to start with Gotham, and then we'll get into Washington. Or do you want to start with Washington and then finish on Gotham?
I mean, we can go with where you want to go, but I will say I think the secret ingredient to why Gotham won, and I know a lot of people saw this, is it's weird when my two worlds collide between theatre and football, but a friend of mine who is a massive theatre head and turns out a massive Gotham head paid an Etsy witch to put some good juju onto Gotham, and it clearly works.
I've heard this is a trend actually where people are paying Etsy witches to do things.
Yeah, and it was like to put some good winning juju onto Gotham, and it clearly worked. So well done, Laura. Let's
start with the victors. Let's start with Gotham, because going into this game, I was favoring Washington Spirit.
A smart person would.
Yeah. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday were all kind of like media days where we all got to speak to a lot of the players, a lot of the coaches. And the more I spoke to both teams, the more my opinion started to change. Because Gotham were so loose. And you go into a championship, and sometimes just the most loose, comfortable team is going to win because you're shouldering such a burden and such pressure. The name of the game is kind of who can put the occasion aside and just play your best soccer ever. And Gotham were so loose that I was like, I don't know. I think I went into the game being like, at this point, I think it's 50-50. And at the end of the day, Gotham peaked at the right time. They played their best soccer in the playoffs. Juan Carlos Amorós somehow knows how to get that out of this squad 2 times in 3 years. The data speaks for itself. And the most important move of this game, in my opinion, Allie, the most important move was a coaching move from Juan Carlos Amorós. Do you know what I'm about to say?
I do not, but I'm excited.
Lily Real was subbed out of the game and Bruinha was put in. And at the moment, listen, I wasn't obviously listening to the broadcast. I was there in person. So the conversation I was having was, is that because Real was on a yellow card and was getting into some tackles? Was that for safety? Or was that because we saw her get banged up in the previous game? Maybe she couldn't go the whole time. Or was it purely tactical? The purely tactical part didn't seem like it was maybe going to be, I feel like it was either one or two. The answer was either yellow cards or she was a little bit banged up, because why would you take one of your best defenders off? It doesn't make a lot of sense. And it ended up being the best move. I was sitting there thinking, this is going to be the move that you either regret and you have to talk about in a press conference in its entirety because it was the wrong move, or it's the move that wins you the game. And it ended up being the move that wins you the game, because Bruinha, she is not as good of a defender as Lily Real, but she will get forward and she will add to the attack. And that's exactly what she did. And she is the one who started that whole thing. She got down the line, a beautiful ball. Bruinha is making the run. Bruinha gets the assist on the Rose Lavelle goal. That is the move. That is the coaching move that wins Gotham the game. Obviously, Rose Lavelle's left foot too. We can add that in.
Well, the thing is, Lavelle's basically said it was all down to Bruinha. It was all down to, she was literally like, I can say that she did the heavy lifting on that, and it was just that I banged it in. It was
to give Rose Lavelle that amount of space at the top of the box. Rose Lavelle capitalized. And then there's the flip side of it, Allie, because I have heard that there is chatter in the blue sky sphere, the Twitter sphere.
Oh, the howl, the howl of it all. The
howl. I thought you were saying Jalen Howell, but I hear you're saying Hal Hirschfeld of it all.
Yes.
Tell the people what you're talking about.
Well, because Hal went down injured, I believe, and was down for quite a while and ended up having to go off because it was not good, but was down for such a long time. And then was it that, I can't remember, was it Gotham made a sub or they...
Hal went down first and then the Real Bruinha substitution happened, yes.
And so they did their sub and then they pretty much scored straight after.
Yeah, everybody's saying that maybe Hal Hirschfeld was too injured, should have come out, because if she was healthy, the thought process here is if she was at her full health, she would have been able to track back and get to that ball, and it never would have been such a, serving on a platter for Rose Lavelle. None of us can say anything about that. We can speculate, but only Hal Hirschfeld knows that, really.
And who's to say that the person that would have replaced her would have been able to do it? Like,
yeah, I get where that's coming from. I really do. But we, obviously, we can't confirm or deny any of that. It was a bummer, though. I mean, Hal Hirschfeld did play really well in this entire game. Listen, maybe this is the moment we talk about Washington, because Washington, they didn't play their best game.
For me, I would like to say Washington have been up there all season. They gave Kansas City the big run for their money for the Shield, and they were, despite not having some core players, had really, really proven themselves. And I thought in their previous playoff games, again, had been the much better team, had really nailed it on, and they were the number 2 for a reason. And then this game happened, and I just felt they'd run out of steam. They were done. They put everything in the semi-final and hadn't really done anything for the final. It just felt like they run out of ideas. I know Rodman came back. Trinity Rodman came back, and she was very on the fence, umming and ahhing whether or not they were going to be able to play her or not.
Yeah, she got more minutes than I thought she was going to get, too.
For sure, absolutely for sure. But they just, as you said, they didn't create any chances. They had no goals on target. It was just very defensive. It was very cagey. And whereas Gotham were a bit more we've got nothing left to lose, really. Because yes, we could lose this championship, but we weren't meant to win it. We came in 8th. Whereas
Again, I don't think that was Gotham's mentality, but I get how you're seeing it from that perspective. Yeah.
But they could play the way they played because of that. Whereas Washington, I feel, had more on their shoulders saying, okay, the number one pick is out, so technically we're the favorite. We're the ones that should.
I don't even think it was being the favorite of it all for Washington. I actually think Washington had the better first half, if I'm going to recap and be totally fair. Like, I think Washington Spirit were the better team in the first half. I think the pressure of having been in the championship the previous year and lost made it back, and feeling like if we don't do it now, we've lost back-to-back championships. I actually think that really weighed on them. I mean, it was Lily Reel who was Rookie of the Year. Defender of the Year was Tara McKeown. And Tara McKeown said in the lead up to the game, like, point blank, she was asked, do you think about last year? How much does that weigh on you coming into this? And she point blank said, I think about it a lot. And that's great. And also, it can be a two-sided coin. It can be a double-edged sword. And it seems like the wrong edge of the sword kind of won out on this side for Washington Spirit. I think they were the better team in the first half, hands down. They were creating chances. They just couldn't get any shots on goal. I literally have text proof from halftime that I was like, Washington need to get shots on goal because they're creating, but then they can't get a shot on goal. And what's all of this for? What's all of this possession for? If they can't shoot, they were just being too precious with it outside of the 18. They were able to advance the ball and keep the ball down and around their attacking third, but then they couldn't get the shot off. They were just trying to pick their moments too carefully. And half of that is credit to Gotham, who closed down the space really quickly, like we were just talking about. For example, Emily Sonnet laying out completely. And half of that was just Washington trying to be too precious with it. And that's it. I thought Croy Bethune, as she has been all season, was an absolute revelation. And it's, it's such a bummer. But at the end of the day, if you don't get a shot on target, you're not going to score. And it was that final missing piece for them. That was it, really. Like, it wasn't possession. It wasn't the midfield. It wasn't defense. They defended well. It wasn't even creating dangerous opportunities because they put in Katrin Berger in some weird moments, but it was shots on target. And they were too precious with it.
Okay, I got 2 questions for you.
All right, hit me.
Hit you with 2 questions. One is, do you think the Spirit can do it next year? That this will give them the fire in order to thing? And the second one is, should the NWSL change its format and get rid of playoffs?
I can tell you that's never going to happen. All right, first question about Washington. Can they do it? Of course. It all certainly, obviously, comes down to what happens in the offseason. The talk of the town, obviously, the big question is around Trinity Rodman right now. Is she going to move to the WSL? Is she going to stay in the NWSL? I think that very clearly has a huge impact on the Washington Spirit. Yes, they were good without her. They were able to adapt, but we're talking about an entire season without her now. That's a little bit different, a lot different. So it all depends on what happens in the offseason. Do I believe that they can no matter what? Absolutely. But it's going to be a tough road for sure. And I think it would be, listen, if I was a betting woman, which I'm not, I wouldn't put money on it simply because of the odds of a team making it back to the championship 3 years in a row. That's pretty low. Secondly, no, the NWSL shouldn't get rid of the playoffs. I know I've been hating on them because I feel so bad for Kansas City, but look at how much fun we just had. Look at how much fun we just had. Come on now. Speaking of fun, we got to do this. Oh, do you want to comment? I feel like you need to comment. You need to comment on this.
Right.
Yeah, do it. Just let it rip.
As a Brit, we are conditioned to cheer for the underdog. That's what we do. Like, unless it's your team that's the front runner, you cheer for the underdog. However, I don't like playoffs. I don't. I think they are innately unfair. And it's tournament, and I don't feel like, I feel like it should be flipped. I feel like you should be declared champion if you win the main season because you've worked hardest to do that. And then if you want to do your playoffs for a shield as like another little thing, cool. do it. But I don't like the idea that Gotham, who are my team in the NWSL, are the champions because they played 3 games really well. Because that's what it boils down to, is they played 3 very important games well. And then they are declared champions. So if we're keeping playoffs, I would flip it and it'd be like you get the shield after the tournament, but you are the champions. Because how Kansas dominated to then get nothing?
Well, they got the shield. I think maybe we just have an emphasis problem where we put too much emphasis on the wrong thing, but it's an impossible journey to embark on to try to change that, because it's never going to happen. You're never going to celebrate some like mid-season moment more than you're going to celebrate the conclusion of the entire 2025. There's no more NWSL to be played, period, at the end. It's just not going to happen here. Do I understand? Yes. When I was playing in college, we won the regular season, and then we went into our conference tournament. We didn't win it, and then we didn't get a bid to the NCAA tournament, and I was pissed. And I was like, this is so stupid. We literally won the regular season. So I get it. I get what you're saying. As a fan, though, that was a lot of fun. And I get it more than ever, especially with my sadness that I felt for Kansas City. The one thing I have to add before we leave this topic, Allie, did you see the celebrations from Gotham?
Oh, yes.
There was a parade in New York, which is great. They didn't do anything in 2023 when they won, which was a massive gripe of a lot of the fans, and specifically the season ticket holders, rightfully so. So they were smart this time, had it scheduled, did a parade, which is great. But the best part of all of the celebrations, it wasn't even learning about Roosevelt's family's fireball obsession. For me, the best part was the videos that came out of the locker room when they were all aggressively screaming Feliz Navidad at each other. Have you seen this?
I have seen this.
It's the best thing. It's the best thing ever.
What is happening?
Somebody took a screen grab of Emily Sonnet's face, and she looks like the most angry you've ever seen her, like mouth agape, screaming. And the caption is just, "What if I told you she's singing Feliz Navidad?"
Speaking of Lavelle, I think my favorite thing that's ever come out of anything when it comes to the NWSL, did you see her tweet from her sister? So her sister's called Mary, and her tweet was, I'm called Mary. Rose's full name is Rosemary. I believe my parents named me half of her name to tell me I was only ever going to be half the person she ever was going to be.
That's deeply sad. That's deeply sad.
I think she meant it more in a sweet way, but it was just...
That's some dark humor right there, for sure.
Yeah, but it just made me laugh so hard. I was like, you get it, Mary Lavelle.
All right. Gotham FC are your 2025 NWSL finalist champions. Kansas City Current are your 2025 NWSL regular season champions. Let's go around the world. Around the world, around the world.
To España, Barcelona remain top of the table after their win this weekend. However, things are going from bad to worse for Atletico Madrid, who are 4th after their loss this weekend.
And to Mexico, we have our champions in La Liga MX. After a thrilling 2-leg final, it is Tigres who have taken the title. It was tied 3-3 after the first leg against America, but the second leg, all it took was 1 goal for Tigres to clinch the title.
To Germany, big wins for Bayern Munich and Wolfsburg to keep them 1st and 2nd respectively. However, we have a new 3rd place team in Bremen who hold on to 3rd place despite they only drew this weekend.
And finally to France, Lyon remain one of the only unbeaten teams in Europe after this weekend. PSG remains 2nd with their win. Paris FC round out the top 3.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso. Gift magical mornings with Nespresso Virtuo Pop. Compact and stylish, Virtuo Pop is made to meet every morning coffee craving. From espresso to coffee, hot or iced, at the click of a button. And celebrate the season with Nespresso's limited edition coffee flavors. Sweet almond and hibiscus, cinnamon and candied tamarind, and festive double espresso. Magic in the making. Shop the holiday gift collection exclusively at Nespresso.com.
Oh, Hilton stay, your beds are soft and cozy. No lumpy couch, no stiff futon, no shower line at crack of dawn. Oh, Hilton stay, oh, Hilton stay.
When you want holiday comfort you can count on, it matters where you stay. Enjoy comfortable rooms and friendly service when you stay with Hilton instead. Save up to 25% this season when you book with Hilton. Hilton for the stay. Terms apply.
With new, gentler scented Clorox disinfecting wipes, clean finally smells as good as it feels. On everything from lamps to ceiling fans. Even on your kid's toy shark. Oh, ouch. Clorox disinfecting wipes. Now available in crisp lemon. Find it on Amazon. Clorox. Clean feels good.
Moving over across the pond to England. As international break is beginning, Rose Lavelle, Emily Sonnet, Laylee Real all arrived at U.S. Women's National Team camp to an applause. Chance of MVP, Jaden Shaw as well. Sorry, you know what? We didn't talk about what a X Factor Jaden Shaw was. I'm going to throw that in here. I know we're not here to talk about the NWSL because we just did it, but I missed saying this. Jaden Shaw, move of the season for both club and player. Okay, moving along. We are here to talk international and specifically England, who called up a squad for their 2 games against both China PR and Ghana this international break. Allie, first thoughts on the squad, because this has been a hot topic for many reasons, including defenders and goalkeepers specifically.
So I'm super happy because there is a lot of new faces that have been called up. I'm hoping that it's what I want. It's what I always want. And I'm hoping that they will get some game time. Guaranteed to get game time is a new goalkeeper because Hannah Hampton is out with a slight niggle. So therefore, it's 3 new keepers. So it's Sophie Bagley, Kiara Keating and Anna Morehouse. So we're definitely going to get some keepers with more than 1 cap. So Keaton's already got the one. Yeah, Keaton's already got 1. I would assume she's probably the favourite for these 2 games. But also, I think this is going to be a chance for Serena to maybe throw in Anna Morehouse, to throw in Sophie Bagley, just so that we've got a bit more experience in case this happens in a tournament time.
I'm going to expect that keepers are going to split time. One keeper's going to get the first 90 minutes, another keeper's going to get the second 90 minutes, and the third is just going to sit the whole time. But I would be really surprised if it wasn't Kiara Keating and Anna Morehouse that got to play. Sophie Bagley, obviously, I think you have to build into it. It would be wild for her to get tossed into the game, but you never know. All right, how are you feeling defender-wise? Because we've had a huge discussion about the defenders and England and who should be playing in what position. Talk to us.
So I have to say it's very noticeable thing is that Jess Carter hasn't been called up. That is nothing to do with her ability. She had a conversation with Serena and was like, look, my team got to the finals. I've played a lot of football in a very short period of time. I then have to fly from New York to London, and like, why it's not a massive flight, it's still, jet lag and everything else. And for friendlies, it's not worth it. And Serena has gone, fair, you stay in New York. And it makes sense because, yeah, as we just talked about, they've just won the championship. It's tiring. So I want to make that clear to people. It is not a skill issue why Carter hasn't been called up. It's literally a logistical issue.
Yeah, this makes a ton of sense. We've seen this happen with many players in many squads. Emma Hayes has left people off the squad so that they can have rest. I'm going to guess that she's not going to play a lot of the players who just came off of the Spirit and Gotham game in this upcoming break as well. Obviously, they didn't have to get on a flight across the ocean across international waters.
Yeah, but like having somebody who's now done it that flied across your country, it's just as tiring to do that. Never mind going internationally.
Ain't that the truth? Anyways, this is a very normal thing, and I'm happy that it's happening.
But I do want to clarify that because I know what haters can be like. So I just wanted to clarify why that. I'm really excited by the defenders because obviously stalwart Lucy Bronze is there and Niamh Charles and Maya Le Tissier, but We have Anouk Denton getting her first senior call-up. We've got Grace Fisk, who I have been calling to get into the England setup for so long, because despite Liverpool's position in the league at the moment, she is one of the best English defenders, hands down. Taylor Hines is getting the call-up. Like, it's fresh, brand new faces, and it is looking to the future. And this is what the friendlies are about. This is what I've been crying out for. This game means nothing other than the fact that it's a bit of fun. And okay, yeah, it might affect our rankings because I forget how FIFA rankings work.
Whatever. I do think it's interesting. I mean, Esme Morgan obviously plays for the Washington Spirit. She will be in camp. She was in that final game as well, but she will be in camp. But she's a lot younger as well. And also her minutes might be managed a little bit differently. I mean, the big thing here, as it was the last time England played any international matches, is the conversation around Maya Le Tissier. Will she get time at center back, or won't she?
I think she has to. I'm looking at that back line, and I'm looking at who's been called up. Like, that's where she's got to go, right?
It certainly seems to be so, yeah, based on who's called up.
Exactly. I know Serena Cesar's a right back, but we haven't got Carter. We haven't got Greenwood. We haven't got Amelia Bright's retired internationally. Leah Williamson is still out. So our normal centre-backs aren't there. So surely you have Lucy Bronze as your right back and you will have Maya Le Tissier at centre-back. You would assume so, right?
You would assume so. Based on who we're looking at. Bronze, Charles, Denton, Fisk, Hines, Le Tissier, Morgan, and Wubben Moy are the defenders that have been called up.
Wubben Moy is always an interesting one for me because she always seems to go against what Serena has always said. So Serena has always said game time. If you're not getting game time at your club, I'm not going to pick you. I'm not going to, I want you to play and stuff like that. Wubben Moy hasn't made an appearance yet for Arsenal, or if she has, she's made about 5 minutes.
She has, but she hasn't had significant minutes. But the same could be said really about Chloe Kelly, who's been tossed into the end of every Arsenal game. That's another conversation that I think should be had because she deserves way more. But the same could be said, about Chloe Kelly.
And that was the problem. And that's why Chloe Kelly moved. Because Serena was like, you're not getting game time, I'm not going to pick you.
Yeah, she's still getting more minutes. I mean, there's just more of a load to carry right now with Arsenal since they're playing in Champions League and the WSL. But I think Chloe Kelly should be getting more and more significant minutes, for sure. All right, let's talk about some of the other big new call-ups, Allie. There's a few names that pop up around midfield and forward that we haven't seen.
I was going to say, again, we're seeing some young players that have made significant moves in the unders. If you follow the under 21s, some of these names will not be a surprise to you, but it's nice to see them get that step up to the senior squad. So, you've got Missy Bo Kearns, who now plays for Aston Villa. You've got Lucia Kendall, who also plays for Aston Villa. You've got Brown, who plays for Man City, who used to play for Aston Villa. All of these, again, are going to slot in with the more experienced players such as Walsh, Toon, Stanway. So I'd like to see a mix of the old and new and to see how that's going to work. Because we've said it before so many times that teams seem to pinpoint Walsh and then try and smother her out the game because that's how Serena tends to... all of her play seems to go through Walsh. So I would like to see how Kearns and Walsh work or how Kearns and Stanway work. Still don't think Clinton and Toon are the best combination. Please stay away from that, Serena, if you do listen, because of course you do. But it's just, for me, this is an exciting lineup, and it's the same with the forwards. Most of the forwards, to be fair, are very well known. They are experienced heads, but Freya Godfrey, who plays for London City Lionesses, has been a standout for a team that is stacked.
Yeah, I'm happy that you're mentioning her.
Yes, because in the last game, she got 2 assists and a goal and has just been on fire for London City. So the fact, again, she's managed to make the step up into seniors, it excites me. And I'm going to be honest, it's the first time an England squad announcement has excited me in a while because I could not predict the entire 22. I couldn't. For years before, I could tell you who the goalkeepers were, who your defenders were, who your mid, who your forwards were, with maybe a couple of surprises. This one, I know a few, but I couldn't have predicted it. So this makes me excited.
It makes me excited too, and it's necessary also for an England squad who's starting to have some stars, like bump up into the ages that were like, okay, and after 4 years, after the next World Cup, it's going to have to be a bit of a turnover. So this needs to happen right now. I'm really excited. I think this is a perfect opportunity for all of these players. I think you nailed it in terms of the midfield as well. Like, let's set everybody up for success. Not just putting 3 brand new players who have never played together into the midfield. Let's put Kira Walsh in, but change up maybe who plays the number 8 and see what happens.
Also, the 2 teams they're playing, China and Ghana, are very different style-wise. So again, it's going to be a great test for these new players because they're not playing similar teams at all. So I think that's going to be huge. And China's going to be at Wembley, which is a test in its own right, because everybody knows the significance of Wembley. Everybody knows what that means as a footballer. So to get to play there is going to be absolutely massive.
So cool. Allie, when are these matches and where and how can people watch?
So the first one is England versus China. That is happening this Saturday on the 29th of November, and that will be live on ITV. And then the second one is on Tuesday, the 2nd of December at 7 o'clock. And that also will be on ITV.
All right. And because we're here, we're doing international, the U.S. Women's National Team is playing Italy twice. First on November 28th at 4 p.m. PST, 7 p.m. Eastern. And the second time on December 1st, same time. All right. And that's it for us here at the Women's Soccer Show. As always, I've been Sarah.
And I've been Allie.
Thanks, everybody.
Good night.
This podcast was edited by Monkey Hill Media. Visit monkeyhillmedia.com for more information.